What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Class Podcast. Today, we had the pleasure of interviewing the team from Faraway. We had Grace Walls, Head of Marketing and Growth, and Alex Paley, CEO and co-founder.
And if you don't know, Faraway is a company that's behind the blockchain game Mini Royale Nations. This is a first-person shooter where everything that you do actually is saved on the blockchain, meaning that when you get skins, you unlock guns, you unlock land, you earn orbs, whatever it is, all of that stuff happens in a way that allows you to extract value from that game. So it's very unique what they're building. We talk about where did the idea come from? We talk about what's coming in the future. We break down the game economy. What separates this from something like an Axie Infinity or another play to earn game? And what did they do to get the backing of huge VC firms like Sequoia, A16Z, Solana invested in them, FTX? They got big names. Okay. So Pantera, if you know anything about VC, these guys, they got some friends in high places. So it was a great conversation. I'm excited about this game, but after this, hopefully you're also excited. Make sure wherever you're seeing this or hearing this, you hit that subscribe button and share it with somebody who you think would enjoy the game. Without further ado, here's our conversation with the founders of Mini Royale Nation.
And make sure if you're tuning in, you watch until the end because the team might have dropped a little bit of alpha. You're not going to want to miss it.
We're here with CEO, co-founder of Mini Royale Nations. Well, not even Mini Royale, from Faraway, right?
Faraway, yeah.
Faraway, Alex and Grace, who's in charge of marketing as well. You guys are the ones behind the first-person shooter blockchain game that, I mean, that's the most exciting game that I've heard of on the blockchain yet. I wasn't really like trying to jump out of bed and play Axie Infinity. No offense. Great game. Definitely blazed the trail and really showed people what a lot of the possibilities were with, play to earn and just an ownership economy wrapped around a game that people could play and enjoy. But this is a lot closer to what we're used to, people who've been aiming for headshots and running around capturing flags and racking up points. So welcome. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about who you are and what was your backstory before you got into Faraway? Alex, why don't you start off?
Yeah. So, thanks for having us. It's awesome to be here. So my backstory is I come from a sort of a traditional gaming background. So I've been in mobile free-to-play for my entire career. I was head of studio at Glue Mobile, which is like a big public gaming company that just got bought by EA. And then before starting Faraway, I was VP of product at Scooply, which is another big free-to-play gaming company that makes a bunch of games that, hopefully you probably played, like WWE Champions, Marvel Strike Force, Star Trek Fleet Command, The Walking Dead, Looney Tunes, and a bunch of other ones. So my background is all in mid-core gaming. And that's obviously what we're making at Faraway. Like Mini Royale Nations is a mid-core, browser-based first-person shooter with a deep and open economy.
Deep is the right word because you can play it at the surface level, but man, if you ever, JB, have you looked at that white paper?
I dove into the white paper. It took me about 2-3 days to actually process the whole thing, and I still don't even I understand the basics, but I'm the type of person that needs to dive in and play it. But man, it's really detailed. And I think once people get the hang of everything that you can do, it's going to be super exciting.
Right. There's all different kinds of characters in the ecosystem, whether you're a landowner or fighter or whatever. But we'll get to that in a second. Grace, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up on this team?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Grace, or my Web3 name is Grawaii. I lead marketing and growth at Mini Royale Nations. So my background before this was in product management for apps and websites. And then I kind of got into the Web3 gaming space through helping run an Axie guild. And then that kind of naturally led me to Faraway. I pretty much emailed Alex and I was like, hey, want to work here really badly. Here's what I can do. And the rest is history. But yeah, that's where I come from. So I'm in charge of pretty much all of the community facing social, some of the product marketing, just making sure that people are playing, they're having a good time, and we're always growing.
And growing you guys are. I know I read a stat, something like 90,000 rounds are played per day or something like that. There's a lot.
More over 100,000 easily battles per day.
Wow, that's awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is about 4 or 5 months old, this game. This really still.
Yeah. So we launched our season 1. We launched our open beta back like early November. And that was sort of the kickoff to everything you see today.
Nice. And I'm sure that in the world of crypto in general, things move at breakneck pace. As a developer of a game, like a gaming studio usually works on a game for many, many, many years. And they have huge teams. I'm not sure how many people are on your team and working behind the scenes, but would you say that this is going to be a work in progress for a long time? Like I don't see games as arriving, it's almost something where you got to put something out, feel it from the community, get feedback. And it's like a living, breathing thing, right? Is that how you guys are approaching this? Or is there a certain point where you feel like you're trying to get to right now?
No, that's exactly right. And Grace can talk more about this. But we're sort of building this with the community, right? So I think that's one of the big things with Web3. And as far as like player expectations go, players expect to be part of the process. Like they don't want, a game studio to go in a hole for 5 years and then emerge with a game, and the players sort of have to live with that game. Like the thing that we're doing right now is we're saying like, okay, the game is very early right now, and we're going to release things constantly, and we are always going to iterate with community feedback. And that's what we've been doing. So we push constant updates. We're, constantly talking to the community about which features do you want next? What do you like? What don't you like? And then iterating with their feedback. And I think that's just the expectation among like all of these Web3 gaming communities right now.
For sure. You got your hands on, and you're available, right? Like she reached out and got a hold of you. That I don't think that's something that you could expect outside of where Web3 is so social, right? And people, maybe they might be anonymous. Some people are in Discord under a different name, but you can reach out and actually talk to somebody. That's a huge part of what makes this stuff so cool. So the community aspect, whether you're working or playing, that's huge. So yeah. Go ahead, Grace.
Yeah, I might just jump in to touch on that. One of the beautiful things about Web3 and Web3 gaming communities is that people kind of tend to come to you, right? So the transition is sort of moving away from performance marketing and just trying to find the right people, get the word out. I mean, obviously that's some important part, but with these kinds of games and the way that the direction is moving for communities in this space, people are there and they'll come to you and they'll tell you what they're good at. They'll tell you they want to beta test. They tell you that they have background in 3D modeling. They'll tell you that they want to help run events. So it's a really, really interesting experience and a really cool community to build when everyone's kind of like in it with you. So that's something that's been really, really cool since I started this.
I was just saying on that same note, this is almost the polar opposite as it was in free to play. Like in free to play, we used to go and say, okay, we need some focus group in order to test our new build. We need to get out, $20 Amazon gift cards to incentivize people to test our game. Now we have the opposite, right? Where we have over, 60,000 people just in our Discord alone. And everybody wants to be a beta tester. I know Grace, like every single day, is dealing with more and more applications for how can I be a beta tester? How can I get involved in the process? So it's just like the polar opposite, and it's really, really cool to see.
And you have members of the community. You give them like the ability to actually like give their opinion and make changes, like or give examples of things that they want. So like people can actually see their own creations in the game possibly. And I think that that's pretty dope because I'm a big Call of Duty person, and people are always just complaining on Twitter all the time. And it's like Call of Duty gives you the opposite of what you're complaining about, right? So I feel like if a game allows, people's feedback to actually be heard and implemented, then you're working with something amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to that point, Grace, you're, like you said, front facing on everything. For those who haven't had an opportunity to get exposed to the game yet, how would you explain it? What's Mini Royale Nations all about?
I think first and foremost, we're a browser first person shooter. And I think kind of what comes with being a browser game is just really intense social networks that can grow out of the game. So if you and I wanted to play right now, I would send you a link and we jump into it. I definitely call it more of like a mid-core browser game. I don't think that people should be trying to evaluate or compare us to more of those AAA games and some of the bigger like first-person shooters. We're definitely kind of in a different bucket from them, but it's an extremely social game. We have clan mechanics that reward you for building your own clan. You can have up to 100 people, and you can kind of go in and rack up points. We'll be launching clan events soon, but I think like kind of in like one sentence, I would explain it as like a hyper social mid-core browser first-person shooter that incorporates NFTs on Solana. Forgot to add that part in, but
right. And for
that's the juicy part.
I was going to say, for some people, the way that their games are set up, that could be a barrier to entry, but you don't need to actually own a Solana NFT to play this game, right?
That's right. That's correct. Owning the NFTs does have certain benefits. I can like point the listeners here to faq.miniroyale.io, but there's certain ones like having a battle pass boost depending on the number of heroes that you own, or heroes like NFTs, premium NFTs, and that will kind of help you get through the battle pass faster. You can earn skins that can be minted into NFTs through the battle pass, so that's another kind of type of NFT in the game too, and then they'll be tokens launching as well. But yeah, it's free to play. You can jump right in. You don't need an account. You should make one if you want to like track progress and earn some rewards, but it's really such a minimal barrier to entry, and being on browser too. It's you're not waiting to download anything. You can just jump right in.
And you can play at school.
And you can play at school or at work.
Yeah. Well, nothing happened unless you keep score, right? That's why we wear these Apple Watches and all that kind of stuff. Because even if I walk upstairs, it didn't happen unless I keep my stats. So you definitely want to log in and get a profile. So Alex, I gotta ask you this: as CEO of Faraway, where were you at, or what occurred to you? What light bulb went off before the birth of this game? What was the need that you saw, or the gap in the market where you thought that you had the right resources, or it was the right time, or you were in the right place to bring this to the market?
Yeah, so I'd been looking at I just call this more like open economy gaming. I've been looking at like open economy gaming since 2017, back when I was at Glue. I was mostly looking at it back then as a way to like legitimize or bring these gray market economies we were finding like in our mid-core games like back into the actual in-game economy. So I'm assuming you like with any MMO, right? There's always these like weird gray markets that form where people are trading their in-game items against the will and wishes of the game studios. But my whole thing has always been like, why are we trying to prevent that type of behavior? Right? It's like, why are we banning those players? Like, this is very social. These are very social types of interactions. Instead, we should just be figuring out a game design that actually works with these very social and very natural behaviors. So started thinking about it back in 2017. Obviously, crypto sort of went through a little bit of a tough time in 2018, 2019. But then back when I was at Scopely, and this was probably early 2021, started seeing like signs of life again, started seeing some like really interesting things happen on like the NFT and fungible token side of things. And that sort of got me back thinking about like, how can we take gaming, which so free to play gaming is all like very closed economies, right? Everything is dictated by a game designer and a live ops manager. If you created a more open economy that can attract new and different types of players, and that can be an economy that sustains itself for much, much longer than a closed free to play economy can. So just been thinking about it pretty deeply there. I think this is like the evolution of gaming, right? These little virtual economies that can self-sustain themselves. And that's what sort of got me into Faraway, and knew that I wanted to continue making mid-core games. I think like one of our theses behind like crypto gaming in general is that like it is both more social, right? So crypto makes games more social, and it also deepens the economies of these games. So just having like a mid-core gaming background definitely was useful for how to think about like economy depth and making like a deep and rich open economy.
No, you have to have that broad perspective to deliver a great product. And obviously there's so many components that are necessary, whether it be, you know, the balance of the economy, the inputs and the ways that people extract that value, or the time it takes for people to earn things, or how do you get users to stay on long enough to actually earn something. But what kind of stuff goes into designing a game outside of the actual gameplay? You know, I think there's obviously it's a business, right? But there's a ton of things that we don't think about. So what are some things that, you know, you had to consider to make this truly viable?
The biggest thing that we're considering, right? It's all about designing the right incentives, and it's all about also like blocking, you know, very clear exploits that can hurt the long-term sustainability of the economy. So the biggest thing that we think about when we're, you know, designing this game is like, what are all of the different like weird exploits that players can do? What are the different ways that our economy can go completely out of whack? And then just building in systems to prevent that from happening, or building in like quote unquote like monetary policy, like a way that we have levers to tune how much, you know, we can sink this currency, we can inflate this currency, we can do all of these things that will help us regulate an economy if it goes out of whack. So a lot of this is stuff that you would, you know, read about in a normal economics class, like a world, you know, macro or microeconomics class, and we're applying it to, you know, more traditional game design. So it's pretty cool.
No, I definitely say so. There's a lot of games out there who are making a claim on, you know, play to earn, or, you know, make money while you sleep, or stake these NFTs. And not all of them have actually a sustainable model. You know, like there's not a drive to have fresh capital coming into the ecosystem all the time. And so it becomes, I mean, I hate to say it, like it becomes almost like Ponzi-nomics. Like you're just hoping new users sign up and they pay that new user fee. But after that, there's no input. You guys have like regular drops and all kinds of different stuff. And there's secondary, there's cheddar, there's Royale, there's land. This is a very detailed system that you guys have got, and a lot of drivers of demand. Would one of you want to walk us through, like at a high level, what are some of the key components of this ecosystem and how they relate?
Yeah, I mean, so I can take this. The way that we describe like Mini Royale is a shooter set on top of like this ever evolving social strategy game. And the reason it's almost like two separate games is we have like a new type of player to accommodate. I think crypto has definitely brought in a more economic oriented investor type player. And that is a player that we need to account for, right, in our game design. So we have the more traditional types of players that play like the core shooter. And then we'll eventually have these more economic types of players who are going to want to obviously play a very, very different type of game. And the way that we've seen people like move through MMOs in the past, right, is players typically start off, you know, killing wolves or monsters for gold, right? Then eventually they join a clan, and then they're killing bigger monsters for gold, right? And for other cool weapons. And then eventually, right, when they're, you know, these much, much elder players, they stop killing monsters, and they're all around, all their behavior is around like min-maxing the economy and managing their clans. And I think with the introduction of crypto, we've sort of seen people skip all of that beginner or like mid-funnel like player lifecycle journey, right, and just skip to the elder game. So the land game is for those types of players that don't want to play the shooter and just want to skip all the way to the more economic min-maxing, you know, elder game. So essentially, people that play the land game make things for people that play the shooter game, and people that play the shooter game make things for people that play the land game. So both types of players need to interact with each other and trade amongst each other in order to succeed. So, you know, there's that, you read the white paper, so there's always going to be this constant like tug of war between, you know, landowners and land rulers. And that's what keeps like the strategy side of the game, you know, always exciting and evolving.
Yes.
Gonna say I'd probably be a landowner because I'm not much of a shooter. So I'm glad that you incorporated that into there.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I'm terrible at the shooter game, but I would definitely like own land, and I would want to like lead a clan, right? And I think that's like really exciting because that's how I've always gravitated in these, you know, MMOs, right? Like I don't want to waste my time killing wolves or monsters. I just want to get right to the elder game.
If you start a clan, let me know. I'll definitely be part of that.
Grace, by the way, I don't think we're allowed to be in a clan.
No clans.
Yeah,
sorry.
Far away. Yeah, far
I'll
away.
start the clan.
It's too sus.
Got you. But I have a question. Like, you guys chose to like build with the Solana blockchain, right? Were you ever exploring any other blockchains, or was it always going to be Solana?
We talked to everybody. And Solana just was, it ended up being the best decision for us. It was fast, right? It's by far the fastest. So it's like 65,000 transactions per second. These transactions are just really cheap, which you obviously need for a game that revolves around like people needing to constantly trade and sign transactions on chain. The ecosystem was like evolving pretty rapidly. So it's like some of the best like tools, whether it's like Web3 wallets like Phantom, or, DeFi products like Serum and Radium, just a lot of like really, really good builders. I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but Solana is like number 2 in terms of NFT volume, number 3 in terms of DeFi volume. So it just has all of the signals for a chain that was definitely going to sort of take off. And then from like a technical side of things, like we just vetted all of them, and we were just really, really impressed by what the Solana team has built. And then obviously when you've been in gaming so long, a lot of, more of these like multiplayer, like game devs, the people that work on like these big multiplayer engines on the back end, they're familiar with how to write in Rust in a performant way. So that was a pretty good fit with gaming, because obviously all Solana smart contracts are written in Rust.
If you didn't know, now you know.
Exactly.
Hey, so speaking of Solana, man, you guys got some backers. You guys got a few notables. I mean, if you don't read like TechCrunch or something, maybe people wouldn't know all the names, but I mean, Pantera, A16Z, Jump Capital, Sequoia, like those are.
We got some good people in our corner, so we're lucky there.
Yeah, you got friends in high places. Would you say for people who, I mean, it's not necessary. It's like a dream, honestly. It's celebrated when people are able to raise capital to put towards an idea that they have, or something that's, in a young stage, and it's showing potential, because it's a cosign from people who have already been extremely successful, saying, I believe in this right here. I see the vision that this person is selling. So it's something that other people would aspire to, right? If you were going to give advice to, founders who haven't done this yet, raised, what were some of the things that you had to have in place before you were looking for outside investors to put money up to support the growth of your idea?
The biggest thing that we had, I think, was like a big experience in gaming. I think like all investors right now are definitely buying into the narrative that in order to migrate, a bunch like the Web 2 masses into Web 3, like games must be fun and the economies must be sustainable. So
isn't it crazy that that's like not just like everybody knows that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole like play to earn narrative definitely made people question like whether games needed to be fun, surprisingly. But I think everybody, now has come back to the correct judgment that games should be fun and social, like first and foremost. And then of course, like the economy that you design in the game, like needs to not burn out after, 3 months and be completely hyperinflationary. So it just so happens that a lot of the people that know how to design like mid-core game economies are those who came from, free to play, like mid-core game experience. So that's where I think like, my co-founder, Dennis, and I, like our backgrounds, definitely helped here. And then of course, like we've played shooters like all our lives, know that, we love playing shooters. They're super fun. And our goal is to make a fun and social game and then build like a deep economy on the back of it.
Definitely well-rounded. And speaking of numbers, Grace, you guys have what, 60,000 people in the Discord? Is that accurate?
Yeah. a little above 60,000, and we're just hitting 40K on Twitter. But we're doing a huge push right now for Twitch. So getting a ton of our players to start streaming and then kind of flooding Twitch with videos and getting up on YouTube. So we're kind of starting to see growth there as well, which is really awesome. But
Right.
yeah, and this is all like without some of the more traditional Web3 marketing tactics of like giveaways, like whitelist collaborations with other projects, paid promotions, Twitter promoters. We've kind of taken a heavily organic approach to this because our community would smell out immediately if we would start kind of pulling in people from places where it just didn't make sense, or if we were trying to inflate numbers in that sense either. So yeah, they know what's going on.
Has the organic approach been tougher than you thought it would be, or has it gone better, like, or around the same?
I'd say it went pretty damn well. They 4 months old. They found me. And I wasn't even looking for it.
It's really interesting because you have people who are looking at Mini Royale from the Web3 gaming play to earn narrative. And that's just not something that we really push or that we really talk about, like kind of Alex was saying, open economy, like player driven social experiences. That's more the route that we're taking here. So we're not going out there saying, you know, earn $500 playing this. And I think to people who are looking at these projects and evaluating them based off floor prices or how much hype they have, they kind of stay away from this because that's not the route that we're taking right now, or I don't think it will be. So with that though, you do start to build like a very trustful long-term community who are here for the game at the end of the day. So I think we're kind of going to be looking at some of the more like organic growth tactics and doing things like talking to you guys, going out, throwing events, getting on chats with other teams, Twitter spaces. And then as people kind of start to find out about the game and they realize that like, hey, this is probably one of the, I won't say only, but one of the few games that's actually like very, very fun to play. And that has a real community of like real people who aren't doing this because they're making money doing it. They're doing it because they have like huge clan beef with the clan next door and that kind of stuff. Like those are the people that we're here for.
Yeah, like aside from the fact that you actually will be able to earn, there's massive intrinsic motivators to keep playing. Like I'm an athlete, like I'm a retired athlete, but damn it, if I slip on the curb, I'm still an athlete because I don't never fall. Okay. So, but an athlete loves to keep stats, right? And I mean, Alex was alluding to it earlier, like you're going to want to have your username because there's a bunch of stats that you keep, and there's the battle pass, and then there's different items you can collect, and then if you want to become a landowner, then if you want to start a clan, you got to hit level 9, and then there's so many reasons to keep playing. And I think that's the key, right? You don't want a game where by the 5th time that you play it, you've seen all that it has to show you. And so giving somebody the depth that they want, but also the ease of access of just, maybe I just want to play around and then log out. I think that's a great balance and what people need in a game, because ultimately the play to earn thing is like, it's like a gimmick. It's like there's this guy named Udi on Twitter. He's like a pretty famous like Bitcoiner. I don't know if he's still considered a Bitcoiner, but his pinned tweet says, when you don't know what to say, just say metaverse. You know, so like play to earn is kind of like one of those memes where it's a thing, but a lot of people have abused it to the point where it doesn't mean the same thing anymore. But I think play and earn, meaning some people just play and some people end up earning. I think that's like the code that you guys are cracking right now. Do you feel the same way in that like the emphasis is not necessarily on the earn, but it's there if you want it?
I think that's exactly it. Right, it's there if you want it, and we've designed like our economy and just to make it so that people can't like calculate in their head the ROI per hour for playing the game, because I think that very quickly ends up turning into a job. Mm-hmm. And a lot of games have made it really easy to calculate their APYs, like, so that's how players are thinking, and that brings in more types to those players, and then all of a sudden you have a game where every single person who's playing that game, just is there for the earning. And then it's no longer a game anymore. It's a job. And then other people don't want to join a community where everybody is working for, their wage, and then, immediately after this game is no longer paying the highest APYs, they move on to the next game. And
Right.
games just take too long to build, right? For you to have a game that only sticks around for 3 months. So yeah.
Totally. Hey,
People need to pay for cosmetics, right? People need to pay for vanity, people for status. They can't just be investing for yield.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, damn it, I've put so much money into games that I haven't got back out. At least let me put it in somewhere where I can put in my wallet, flip it if I want to, then
Exactly.
go re-up, get something else. It just makes it feel less of a black hole with your time and your economic value. Grace, where are you seeing the most people get onboarded to your game? Are you seeing them come through like social and influencers, or is it people Googling what's the best new blockchain game? Like what are the channels that you're finding people?
Honestly, and this isn't like a great answer, but I would say there's a lot of word of mouth going on. There's a lot of people playing the game, talking to their friends about it, talking to people they go to school with about it, talking to like their other Discord servers about it. We're not currently working with like paid influencers yet. We want to make sure the game is in a really solid state before we do kind of more of those official pushes out. But it's as I said before, it's just a lot of people learning it, trying it, finding it through Twitter. We're pretty active on Twitter there, through their other gaming communities, through YouTube. I will say when we do the sort of like IRL kind of stuff. So we were down in Miami for the Solana Miami week. There was a like awesome like big rave going on. I threw up a Mini Royale station. Like people kind of stumbled over, and like it was a great time. They're like, wow, there's a playable game on Solana. That's fun. And I was like, really, say less, So that kind of stuff, it's really just like listening to where people are. And then a lot of the emphasis now is just making sure that people here in the community are listened to, they're engaged, if they want to be contributing in some way, that we're getting creative about how we do that as well. So a lot of different kind of funnels bringing people in, but heavily on the just like the organic side of people playing with their friends, sending them a link immediately and then jumping on that way.
I definitely sent a link to about 7 people.
Right?
Yeah. I sent one to like our whole Discord. I was like, hey, everybody, check this game out. It's actually fun. I'm terrible, but it's fun. And I think, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it. Okay.
I was going to say, I think when it comes to like marketing, the whole organic and word of mouth marketing is the best, because it's usually coming from somebody that somebody else trusts, right? I heard from a friend that I trust his opinion, so I went and tried the game out. And I think that's how you guys have been able to build such a great community, because it's not gimmicky. It's from like, people who you believe that are going to recommend you something that's awesome to play.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, we do get boosts too when we do our seasonal like NFT drops. So that brings in the people that are checking out OpenSea. We were featured on OpenSea on the Solana project page, and then also on the main page. So that brought in some eyes too. On Magic Eden, when we do drops there, that brings in a lot of people. A lot of times it's doing game nights with other servers, just kind of hopping in, taking a few minutes to answer some questions. And then when people realize they can actually talk for more than 10 minutes about the game, the interest kind of spikes up a little bit. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And also like there's obviously like press releases too, where we have big announcements, funding, or game metrics, and people read about us that way.
So I want to just give people who don't know a basic rundown of like how you earn in the game, right? So basically right now, it's still ramping up. Like everything is not fully deployed in its final form, but right now you can play and you can earn these things called gems, right?
Orbs.
So
Orbs.
Right, yeah, orbs. Yeah. So
what do you do with the orbs?
So I'll talk you through the process, right? So you take the orbs to somebody's land. There's both, public and private land. You take those to a refinery on that land. You convert those into enriched orbs. Those enriched orbs basically act like event tickets to enter these big clan events. So one of the things that we've been, pretty certain on is that all earning should come from social activities. We should never have any sort of systems that incentivize like solo grinding, which is what we see in a lot of these play to earn games. You never want like a bunch of people doing antisocial things, but then still earning and extracting value from the economy. So all of our earning comes from clan events. So you use those enriched orbs, you have to enter clan events. And then these clan events, there's a variety of ways you can do clan events, but they're essentially like leaderboard events where you compete against other clans for these really cool prizes. And those prizes come in the form of NFTs, fungible tokens, like our cheddar token, and then a bunch of other stuff as well. So like for us, like all earning comes from social activities the same way, all earning in the real world comes from doing something for the benefit of somebody else.
That makes so much damn sense. I read 14 pages and I couldn't, but that's why I guess you're the boss, right?
Yeah.
So.
I read the tokenomics 2.5, 2-3 times. And I'm like that. You just had to say that. And now it makes sense to me.
Yeah, everything comes through clan events. And then we have bigger clan events, which are called Alliance World events. So we also have a system that we're going to add in where clans can band together in order to form alliances, which are like a clan of clans mechanic. And then they can essentially do these massive like raids and take over nations and do all sorts of, cool things. The name Mini Royale Nations is there for a reason. So this is all around taking over control of nations. Nations give you boosts. In order to take over a nation, you need to make sure you have a certain percentage of the plots of land in that nation. All of that is getting built out. But yeah, that'll be some of the coolest part.
So like, what's the timeline on this? It's now it's April, mid-April. Where are we at?
Yep. So basically Q1 for us was, fixing tons of bugs, making sure we're scaling, just ready for scale, like adding more parts to the core gameplay itself. Q2, which is, right now is all around social. So that's like clan management and the introduction of like clan wars. So that's going to be like end of Q2. Q3 is the first edition of like land. So this is going to be like light land mechanics, like land ownership, refining, like all of that type of stuff. And, probably the introduction of like some land-based events. And then Q4 is going to be, just deeper like land economy types of events. And then we'll just continue building and building and building.
So will land be the same way how, you guys do drops for different skins? Would land be initially released in like a collection drop, and then after that it would be earned, or how is that going to be distributed to all the players?
So the way we're doing land distribution is so we're going to be selling something called like a land claim token or a land settlement pack. Essentially, we don't want like hedge funds or people that aren't going to use the land to be able to like buy the land from a drop. So essentially a person would buy a land claim token. They would then need to join a clan and then take over a piece of land in the game by actually playing the game. As soon as they took control of that piece of land, they would have the opportunity to deposit, just like you would plant a flag on a piece of land, like in the real world, sort of in order to claim it. In the in-game world, you deposit your land settlement pack, and that gives your clan ownership of that land NFT. And from that side of things, or after that, basically all of the earning goes to the clan. So in our game, clans are all going to be DAOs. They're each going to have their own treasury. So that just is going to make the social mechanics even cooler.
Hey, Grace is smiling because me and JB is smiling ear to ear.
Watching your faces to this explanation, you're like, it's like you're smelling something good in the kitchen. You're like, he's nodding, you're shaking your head no, like everyone.
I think it's a comment.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's a combination of like my mind's blown and like that, because I'm an athlete right now. He's retired. I'm still playing.
I'm like 9 months out of the game, so like relax. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
The competitive nature, I'm like, ooh, I want to do that so bad. So
right. I'm trying to squad up right now. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, we got JJ, we can add on the squad. Who can we call? Like, we need people to go get this land.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing we wanted. Is like we wanted real players to be owning this land. It's like in other games, right? It's like there's Chase Bank which owns a piece of land. There's this New York hedge fund, which owns like 70% of the land in this game. And that's not fun because these are people that aren't even going to use it, right? So we wanted this like system of like adverse possession where they need to maintain control of that piece of land in order to actually extract all the value from that piece of land, right? So you should never have somebody sort of just sitting on something and never using it. It's like, even so, that's why we say this thing. It's like there's a difference between land ownership and land control. Even though you own something, doesn't mean you're going to get all the benefit from that something unless you also maintain control over it.
I could tell that you slept on this for a while before you.
Yeah, we've thought about this for a long time.
Wow. I'm sold. All right. So look, I probably could talk to you about this for like 6 hours, but just tell me what you're excited about most about what's coming down the pipe, or the thing that, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're like working towards that keeps you going. I'll start with you, Alex.
Yeah, clan DAOs. I think that is going to be like such a huge innovation in like mid-core gaming. The fact that like your clan has its own treasury, like can sort of just like, I mean, so each person in a clan would have like a share of that clan. You can buy shares of other clans in order to do like a hostile takeover of that enemy clan. I think it's just going to be a lot of like new mechanics and like new social behaviors that we haven't traditionally seen in games, except for maybe games like EVE Online, right? Where they also have these crazy clan and like they call them corporations at EVE Online. They have these crazy social mechanics. So I'm just like really interested in like the social side of things and like the weird and emergent behavior that's going to come from like all of these social systems. And Grace is already seeing all the crazy stuff that people are doing in clans right now inside of our Discord and all of like the allegiances. Now imagine like making those allegiances even stronger by turning them into DAOs and like, yeah, it's just going to be pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
Grace looks like she has some like stories that she's thinking of or something. Can you give us?
That's for the After Hours podcast.
If this gaming chair could talk.
We've seen a lot. I mean, I guess on my end too. So I've been able to check out our season and our quarter roadmap, and it's massive. And for me on the community side, what I love are seeing things that people have written in and said, hey, like I want to do this. I tested this out. We grew up a huge group of people, run a beta test, introduce new game modes, those kinds of things where people can see that we're building with them. So a lot of functionality is coming up this season and throughout the quarter. That's just going to be so like, it's really awesome when you post something in Discord and then you just sit there and you watch like all the reactions come in. Like that's this season. There's going to be a lot of that, like good news for people who have been waiting on game modes or features or updated UI or things like that. But yeah, it's like I'm excited that we've kind of moved or like graduated right from the season one of bug fixing and polish of scaling, of like resetting up infrastructure on the game side of things. And like now is kind of when we get to do a lot of user facing stuff, which I get to talk about on every platform that I can. So that's what I'm excited for.
I'm gonna be there listening. So if somebody is hearing this and they want to, check it out, obviously they can go and play the game. What are the first steps that you would recommend for somebody who's interested? Like, where can they go and find more info?
So, well, you can play the game at miniroyale.io. You can play right now. It's live. If you want to jump into our Discord, that's the best place to kind of read about game updates and chat with all of us. We're always extremely available. And Alex also is very active in Discord as well, which is another like great addition to this team in particular. But our Discord is discord.gg/Mini Royale. And then I would also point people to Twitter. We do some fun giveaways there. We have a lot of updates as few characters as we can. But that is our username is @Mini Nations on Twitter. So if you also want to check out some Mini Royale gameplay, you can search Mini Royale Nations on Twitch. Or kind of in YouTube, but you can see who's playing, kind of what the game looks like, how it feels. And yeah, there's some great videos, like explainer videos on YouTube as well. But those would be where I would start. And then you kind of get into the trail of the white paper and the FAQ when you graduated from that. So our white paper is whitepaper.miniroyale.io if you're looking for a nice Friday night read for about, 2-3 hours.
Pull up a chocolate milk and get into that. Some good reading.
And that's the first version. So we have another version coming out that is, I guess we'll call it the expanded version. So we'll be sharing that all over when it's available on Discord and Twitch. But that will go into a lot deeper detail and kind of some main elements of the existing.
That'll go into that land, into that land mechanic that I talked about. So we call it the initial colonization offering, like when a piece of land is first taken over. And that initial land NFT has been, finally or first taken over. So yeah, there's a lot of expansion that's coming.
Is that a little bit of alpha? Is that public knowledge yet?
It is not public knowledge. Yeah,
we love alpha on here.
That is alpha.
Sound the alarm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I didn't even know that was a term, initial colonization offering.
All right.
It kind of chuffed.
There we go. There we go. Alex, where can people, I know Grace mentioned the Discord, but are you also on Twitter? Can people check you out in the crypto Twitter watering hole with the rest of us?
They can check me out. Yep. Just at Paley13. And then on Discord, I'm just Paley. I've doxed myself for everybody on that one.
Hey man, if doxing myself gets me in touch with Sequoia, I'm do it too. So
yeah. I said, there's no hiding.
Awesome.
Look me up on whatever, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you want.
Awesome, man. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you taking the time. If you couldn't tell, if you're listening to this, I've probably been smiling ear to ear like the whole time. But if you guys are watching, definitely go check these peeps out. We're going to put all those different links down below so that you can have ease of access. We don't want to create no friction for you guys. Go out there and pick up the game, play it, have fun, and you can definitely find me and JB on there as well. But JB, any closing words?
It's just a pleasure having you on here. Really admire what you all are doing, and super humble to have you on. Big fans, and we're gonna definitely continue to support, follow the progress, and who knows, maybe we'll have you on in the future to see where you guys are at. So thank you for being on here. It was a great episode.
Guys, thanks for having us. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys become clan leaders when we release our new land system.
Oh, we will.